The show you're tuned into right now was put together by students and staff enrolled in the broadcasting courses in the radio television department at San Joaquin Delta College. Thanks for listening and supporting college radio.
It's getting hot in here. Pornography isn't a video you watch online. It's a feeling, a desire, lingering behind your blind eye.
Tom Argonda.
A smart car recognizes going across the street ain't right. It only knows going down the road. So why don't you? No sex for you. No sex for you. Pornography isn't a video you watch online. It's a feeling, a desire, lingering behind your blind eye. It's getting hot in here.
Space Radio, Season 2, Year of the Fool.
Welcome back to Unknown Space Radio. I am Tom, joined here by Alex.
Hello.
You can say hello.
Oh, hello.
That was him. And this is gonna be, I think, probably one of our darker episodes. This episode is gonna be one of the darker sides of desire. Which desire alone is kind of already detrimental to the human. And we kind of have a disclaimer. Go ahead, Alex.
So, the discussions in this episode will engage with content that may be emotionally challenging to some people. If you or someone you know listening has sensitivities to substance abuse, sexual abuse, and self-harm, we just want you guys to have a heads up that's what this episode is going to be about. We'll do our best to engage in the discussion thoughtfully to promote learning here at KWDC. So
yeah, again, this episode is about desire, but this is a dark side of desire. This is not, of course, this is not our desires. This is just, it's, I don't know, I think it's a necessary conversation, especially with this whole overthinking out loud. And we kind of, I don't know, again, it's been the detriment to us.
I was going to say, sorry, that I feel like everyone has experienced something that we're about to talk about, whether it was directly affected to them by directly affecting them or someone they know.
Yeah, these are conversations that have caused like murder of innocence, loss of life, just the corruption of humans in general. And this is, I don't know, one of my less darker talking points. Have you heard of the call of the void? My friends and I were talking about that the other day.
I have not.
The call of the void is like, and this is kind of like what we were talking about just before we started recording. Alex and I were talking about like how easy it would be for us to knock our teeth out. which sounds goofy, but it's like we 100% have the ability to do that. It's the call of the void is kind of, let's say you were standing on a bridge. It's that small little impulse that tells you, I have the ability to jump off. What would happen if I did? It's that feeling when you're driving, like, what would I do if I just swerved off the road, swerved into another car? This has been like, I don't know, just a funny, I don't know about funny. I don't think people usually act on it though.
So it's kind of
just a strange phenomenon, because a lot of people have what?
That is something my friends and I have talked about before. Like, there's so many things that we think of that are just so morbid, but we don't actually act on it. And there's so many things that you could just do in a heartbeat, but that can harm other people or harm yourself, but we don't do it.
I just think it's a strange phenomenon that we have that like thought process, like I could knock my teeth out right now if I really wanted to. I'm not gonna do it because I don't see the point.
Yeah.
But it's just it's the call of the void. There's just something deep in my brain that's telling me to do these morbid stuff. But even I would get it in like high school in class when I'm like sitting next to like a partner or something. It was kind of like I have the ability to punch him if I want. I could totally just turn to him and just punch him, but I'm not gonna do it obviously because I have no reason to. But it's just I have the ability to. I can do it. I asked you this behind the mic, so we weren't even recording or anything. But I asked you it like I don't know, probably like a week ago or whatever. Just because a lot of the conversations we have, it's obviously there's something within us that kind of is a hatred towards life, and I think that's a lot of what runs this show, is our hatred towards reality, our kind of rejection to it at the same time.
Tom also meant to say hatred towards oneself.
And I asked you if you ever self-harmed, and I don't remember your answer.
I would say no. But to an extent, maybe yes, because there was a while where like working out was my huge outlet, and I would push myself incredibly hard to the point where like I could barely walk or I could barely breathe and stuff. And that was just because, I don't know, maybe I was going through some stuff, and you know, I found working out to be a successful outlet. And I don't know if maybe I used working out as a way of self-harm, but in the way you typically hear about self-harm, I've never done it.
See, I would like back in the day, because I think high school was probably my more emotional roller coaster, I suppose. We have this punching bag in the garage, and I remember when I got really upset, I would just fight it, and not even like the spots you're supposed to be hitting, like the harder spots at the bottom, and I wouldn't even punch it right. I would kind of just slide my knuckles across it until my knuckles are just bleeding and just oozing pus. And I remember even recently, I don't know, like, because I have a retainer in my mouth when I'm doing homework or something and I'm getting stressed out, I'll like flip it sideways and just push it into my gums, and I just realized that because I kind of tasted something weird the last time I did it, and I realized I've been bleeding this entire time each time I did that, and I even broke my retainer off of doing that. And I don't know, I've just been thinking, where does that stem from? The ability to, I don't know if ability is the right word, but the motif, I guess, to harm yourself. Where do you think that stems from?
Some self-hatred, I would say. Or maybe just hatred, like you said before, hatred with the world.
I don't know, it just seems, obviously, it's not something I'll ever fully understand, because I think even though I just listed ways in which I may do it, it's like, I don't know, it's never been too detrimental to me, I suppose. But yeah, I think, oh god, I don't know, it's just like you're saying, hatred to oneself or the world. I just have the hard time kind of correlating that with, you know, harming yourself, I guess. But again, I'm not here to. Maybe I'll never understand it.
See, and then we talked about like substance abuse, like if we've ever done it, and I'll be honest, I have. There was a while after high school where I kind of just lost who I was, and I turned to like certain things to like really help me cope. And there would just be like days that I would just be on it, and like I really started to lose my sense of reality. And initially I was doing it because it was like helping me sleep, but then it got to a point where, and it helped me think like really in depth a lot, both to my detriment and it was both beneficial and also to my detriment in the way that it helped me think about a lot of things and really cope with a lot of things. But then I noticed and realized that there were times that, like, I would go to school or I would go to I would go to school or I would go to work while, like, on these things. And I just realized, like, this is not good. Because growing up, my family, like my close family, my brother and my parents, like...
Have you seen people lose themselves to it?
Yeah, and I realized, like, I was going down that same path. And that's why I really, like, stopped doing a lot of that stuff. And even when I slip and I catch myself slip, and I haven't slipped in a while, like, I get really upset with myself. But that is something I really... Substance abuse is something that I understand, because sometimes it's just really difficult to process and live with things that are happening. And I understand that's why people turn to those kind of things.
That's like a lot of the reason that I don't drink and I don't smoke. And a lot of it is because I've seen a lot of people sort of lose themselves to it or kind of be not good people. Plus I'm kind of a control freak in nature that I don't think I would ever even be able to push myself to that. But a lot of it, because you do understand it. So this question is directed towards you. Where does that stem from? That desire to abuse substances, especially when I'm sure when you were doing it, you knew it was bad, right?
Yeah.
But you did it anyways. Where was that stemming from? Is it how it made you feel, the sensation?
I don't know if there is some, like, deep-rooted science behind it, but I don't know, like I said, just, like, once I found it, and once I found the way that it made me kind of numb to being numb, if that makes any sense, I think it helped. It helped made me feel something, and at the same time too, if I didn't want to feel something, it helped make me not feel something.
Was it suppressing the, how do I say it? The not good emotions, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to take a short PSA break, but we'll be back here on Delta College Radio 93.5 KWDC.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for summer break
because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a single father of 2 who works 3
part-time jobs and still can't put enough food on the table?
Or maybe a mother who cleans offices at night,
hoping to find meeting leftovers to take home to her hungry family.
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time landing a job
and getting back on his feet.
I am the one in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
In healthcare, misinformation can be as deadly as the most serious disease and spread just as quickly. For years now, myths about childhood immunizations have been spreading on the internet and social media. The physicians of the Illinois State Medical Society urge parents to know the facts and get your child immunized. Immunizations are scientifically proven to be safe and effective, and failure to immunize can harm your children and others. Talk to your child's doctor to get the facts about immunizations.
So this topic, again, we gave a disclaimer, but I do want to say this is probably one of the more sensitive topics because this is mostly having to do with sexual abuse. And that being said, I've just been thinking about sexual violence lately because obviously a lot of people treat it like it kind of starts and ends with rape. But I've just been thinking, just because I don't know, rape seems like a kind of a demonstration of power. I think it kind of stems from school. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that it could stem from. But in my experience in high school, a lot of the people that were kind of sexually abusive, they faced little consequences the entire time. These people were not good people, obviously. And they had more than one sort of, I don't even want to say allegation, because like people knew, like the school wouldn't do anything about it when these people would harass girls or whatever. And I just think a lot of where sexual violence stems from is that a lot of these men haven't gotten much punishment in life. What do you think it might stem from? Because I don't know, I just see a lot of it. I saw a lot of it in school.
I think a lot of it might have to do with like just history of man in general, because if you look back, we were really like just objectifying women and selling women to people as wives and stuff, and you basically were able to do whatever you want to a woman and without any repercussions. And
see, that's a lot what I'm talking about. There hasn't been a lot of repercussions, and I'm specifically mentioning high school because obviously that's one of the earlier ages. You're still learning at that time and such, and these people got little to no repercussions. I also think it's kind of because you do see the objectification of women in the media a lot, and there's also still that boys will be boys type attitude. And that's just another attitude that like makes it clear that there's hardly ever any repercussions to these actions.
It's such a disgusting attitude.
It's a horrible attitude. And even, what's that one guy? Like you see Brock Turner. Do you remember that guy?
The Stanford dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many months he got in jail, but he got a few months in jail. Not even a whole year. And there's a lot more cases around the world like that, surely. Around the United States. Going back to like, you know, that position of power. I think I haven't talked about this in a Unspace Radio episode, but I think I talked about it in an episode of Anything You Want Me to Be Radio. And I remember, I think it's just necessary to bring up right now. Because on Instagram, somebody was doing like the questions poll thing. And their question to their followers, that account I was following, was, what was your town's biggest scandal? And more than half, actually the majority of the people who were answering that question of what was their town's biggest scandal, they were talking about how their biggest scandal was teachers in school sleeping with students. And that's, again, because even at my middle school, there's this gym teacher. I'm not going to say his name, but maybe I should someday. But I mean, there's this gym teacher, and I remember a lot of people would report creepy behavior from him. And by the way, when I say I might say their name, I don't think it's my, you know, how do I say, place to say their name, because I never personally experienced it from them. So I don't know. That's just me being more sensitive to the people who have actually been victims to these incidents. But anyways, there's this gym teacher who had a bunch of reports against him for creepy behavior towards girls. And this isn't even high school. This is middle school. This is What age group? I don't know. I don't remember the year. Like 12 through...
Like 11 to like 13.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there was even like teachers at my high school who would have a bunch of reports of them being creepy towards girls. And even the one in middle school, I wasn't sure if it was actually happened, but I know a lot of people were talking about it. They said that he put her hands on a girl. And I remember he was like suspended. The teacher was suspended for like a week. And he came back after that week. But it's just a disgusting thing to see these people with little repercussions doing this stuff, especially when they've had reports against them multiple times.
You know what's interesting though? One of my cousins was dating someone who was a teacher at, I think, somewhere in Lodi. And she was caught, like, doing stuff with her students. And what's interesting is that it seemed, I think she served jail time. And for her to serve jail time, but, like, other people to just get, like, pretty much a slap on the wrist is really interesting. And I think that's a whole other discussion too. Mm-hmm. See, and like sexual abuse is something I don't really understand why people will sexually abuse someone. Like you see that people do it to children, and just that corruption of youth is just absolutely horrendous. Like you don't do that to a child. And like when people like will rape other people, I don't understand why people do it. I mean, I took a sociology class and they talked about like it was because they want to feel like they're powerful over someone, but I don't understand why people need to feel powerful over someone in that way. I don't understand how that where that like this whole topic has been about, like where that comes from. And I don't know. I don't know if I should say this, but like, I feel like rape and sexual abuse is something that like I personally would kill someone over.
I stand heavily behind you when you say that. With the knowledge of the violence that happens to trans women, how do you navigate the world differently as a trans woman?
Being a trans person in general is already like dangerous, and like you go out in the world, you feel like anxiety, and it's just like because you're viewed different. And so navigating the world as a trans woman now is terrifying, but also like what's the word, like freeing, I guess. It's nice that I can be me, but at the same time it's like I'm scared to go out in public by myself. It is very dangerous. I'm lucky to live in a state where it's more accepted, but still in the town that I'm at and stuff, you know, people still have different views. And so I have a really hard time. I have a good amount of social anxiety now that wasn't there before. But like, it's true. Like, I'm scared that people can. I'm all over the place. Like, do I look womanly enough? Like, is someone gonna notice that like I have like a little bit of a deeper voice? It's just a lot of social anxiety, and I'm worried that someone's gonna say something more than actually do something. Because someone tries to do something, there's usually more witnesses, and I can usually be like, you want to go? But if someone says something, I think that's just more, it's just very invalidating to me. And I think that's like the biggest thing, is all trans people really just want to be validated and pass. I watch where I go more. I definitely watch what I say sometimes. I definitely watch how I talk and walk, just to make sure that no one else says something to me. But when I'm out in public and people have their own views, it's scary. And it's very scary. Like, it takes me sometimes 2 to 3 days to even convince myself to go to the grocery store by myself. And half the time, I had to ask a friend to go with me because I'm scared. And it's like, I don't live far from the grocery store. It's like right down the street. But you never know. And I think that's the scary part. But I think that's the scariest part, is that you never know. Even in broad daylight, I'm scared to go to a store by myself.
Unknown Space Radio, Season 2, Year of the Fool has been a production of KWDC 93.5 LPFM, Delta College Radio. This program is made possible by listeners like you. Programming is produced by the students, staff, and faculty of San Joaquin Delta College's Radio Television Department. It is supported by the Delta College Department of Arts, Humanities and Multimedia, the Career Technical Education, and Workplace Development Office, and the State of California. Thank you for listening. Tom Argonda, Alex Salon, Unknown Space Radio, Season 2, Year of the Fool.